So guys, one of the big developments over the past, you can say 2 to 3 years, is the rise of buy now, pay later, or BNPL for short. So I think what inspired this video is, well, one, everyone's talking about it. The second thing is KFC.
Yeah.
I mean, now you can buy how many months? 3 months installment, right?
Yeah.
To buy your dinner plate.
Makan sekarang, bayar kemudian.
Yeah.
That's basically a tagline. Very interesting.
Actually, fun fact. Just thought I'd add this in. Do you know what is? There's another interesting topic, but do you know what is buy later, pay now?
No.
Insurance.
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah.
Anyways,
correct.
too busy to find stock ideas? Check out Fiverr Pro to shortcut your research time and effort by 90%. 10% off link in the comments and description. So you can see it's a huge thing, not just in Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
It's
so
globally.
The first guy or the country that did was actually Sweden, and then followed by Germany, Norway. It's basically all of the EU side of countries that is doing it, and they have the highest adoption. Malaysia is still like a very small amount. The global BNPL's default rate is actually very low. This is quite a surprise. I thought it's going to be very high. You can see that it's just 2% compared to 10% credit card. Maybe it's because it's still not as widely used as compared to credit cards, because still got a lot of people using credit cards, right? So we shall see whether the number will grow or not as time goes by. Also, just want to share with you guys is that, interestingly, consumers that have at least one BNPL loan, they have a lot of balance on their other type of unsecured consumer credit. So which means they are maxed out with their credit cards. They are also maxed out somewhat with their personal loan, and they cannot really get loans, so that's why they have to opt for this type of service.
Yeah, so that's the whole idea, right? They don't face a lot of credit scrutiny compared to a credit card or any other standard loan. And the argument is that, well, it's two things. Not only is it for these people, it's also the whole irony is that the financial system helps people who can afford it already, right? But then the people who needs to move up needs, ironically, the credit more. That's why like for example, in the interest rate for BMW is higher than say a Myvi. If you think about it, shouldn't it be lower? Because someone who can afford Myvi is probably not as well off as someone with a BM, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I think BNPL comes in. Hey, you know what? There's no crediting. Your credit score is not so important. But we'll allow you, every month pay a little bit, and you can get the access.
Yeah.
So that is the bull case for BNPL.
And also the beauty is that they do some sort of like automatic repayment.
There you
go. It straight away deduct from your cash balance. And so how big is BNPL right now in Malaysia? Is actually 0.2% up to January 2025. So the biggest chunk is still like other loans. I think it's going to be related to housing. 12.6% is personal, and then your cars is 13.2%. And you can see the growth rate is actually faster than tech. If you look at the quarterlies, right, it's like growing 20-30% every single quarter, which is quite insane. Okay, then one of the reasons why the growth rate is so high is because their approval process is very fast. It only takes like a few minutes. Don't need a lot of information. They just need very tiny, small little stuff like your utility bills and bank statements. That's about it. Whereas if you compare with the credit card, in this case is Aon Credit, it takes you 14 days. And also you need a lot of document, like you need your salary slip for 3 months and other stuff of like documents that you need to submit in order to get a credit card. So that's also why there's a rise in this BNPL. Thankfully, right now, the overdue or delinquency rate is very low. It's around like 0.2% or something like that. It's very, very small amount. Last time it was quite high, but they managed to like found their blueprint or footing on how to do it. Most likely is they adopted the automated debit from their cash balance. It's what I would like to guess. Those are the growth, but also you need to know what are the real costs for BNPL. There's a lot of things. Obviously, there is processing fee. Some of the guys, they do charge it. So like every single month, there'll be like a 1.25%, depending on how much they
but that's the tricky part, right? Because it's so small.
Yeah, they don't even notice.
Yeah,
correct. So
like even 20-30% for even like the high interest on, let's say,
on
you
a
know,
100
20
ringgit.
ringgit.
Yeah, 20
You know,
ringgit.
it's 6
6
ringgit,
ringgit.
4 ringgit, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's a tiny. That's why it's a tiny amount. That's why a lot of people will notice the increase in terms of percentage, right? So yeah, those are a lot of these hidden real costs about BNPL. And yeah, just to give you a sense, just now, if let's say they are buying like a 10,000 ringgit stuff with a 12-month installment and they are paying like a 1.5 cent percent of a monthly processing fee, that's an extra
Yeah,
1.8.
there you go.
This is not even your penalty, you know. This is like if you're paying on time, but you're just paying more to the borrowers. So yeah, and the thing is that they are focusing more on the 0% installment instead of like focusing more on the additional fees. I mean, obviously, because they are marketers, they want
Yeah.
you to see or put your face on the benefits instead of the cost.
Yeah,
of
I
it.
think that's a very fair criticism of this.
Okay, so this one is a 2021 chart or comparison between all of these platforms, BNPL stuff. Probably they changed already for 2024, but yeah, you can have a rough guess about what is their late payment fee and also processing fee. Okay, but just want to sum up everything for BNPL, right? So in business, obviously companies that have a lot of recurring income, they will usually command a high valuation, but not when a company have a lot of recurring expenses. So this is actually the similar to BNPL. I mean, BNPL will eventually would increase your expenses and it will make it more recurring also, because BNPL, the purpose of it is actually just make things more affordable. Yeah, when people see things are more cheaper, obviously they will start to do a lot of like spending unnecessarily. So that's why it's some sort of like a trap, like a value trap for you. They think that it's good, but actually in the long run, it might not be good. And yeah, I just want to share a little bit about our thoughts about BNPL, right? It's the items depreciation versus the ringgits. Like cars, when you buy a car and then the car goes out of the showroom, the value immediately drop 10-20%.
Or more,
straight
depending
away.
on the car, yeah.
Yeah, correct. So you have to see what is the items depreciation. In the case like food, how are you going to depreciate food? The food, once you buy, right, essentially the value of the food will...
So it's 4 hours, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
digestion, right?
Yeah, correct, 4 hours. Yeah, it's basically 4 hours, then it becomes zero already. So yeah, and you want to compare with that and also the ringgits. If let's say the depreciation is I would say smaller than the ringgits, then probably it's worth it to use BNPL. But if let's say it's larger, I mean, might as well just use like your payout upfront for everything. Number two is actually the correlation between savings and BNPL. So I think this is a stats that is pretty interesting to see, because you want to see whether there's people who use BNPL a lot, do they save more or do they save less? My guess is that they don't have much savings. That's why they use BNPL. But I would like the data to like prove me wrong. Hopefully they have savings before they actually engage with any BNPL type of services. Because if let's say you cannot buy things that you can afford, I mean, why do you even want to buy it in the first place, right? Yeah. That's I'll put it that way. And number three is a reverse insurance, like what you mentioned just now. What a buy
Yeah,
later pay now.
you get the benefits, but the cost is spread out over time. Whereas for insurance, the cost is spread out over time, but then the benefit only comes in at the tail end, most of the time, right? Touch wood.
So basically, this is like a difference between the delay gratification and also instant gratification. So in the case of BNPL, it's more instant. When you can get things like that instantly, right? You tend to think that you can spend vigorously. Whereas if let's say like insurance, a lot of people actually don't really like to pay for insurance because they don't see the benefit now, right? It's usually only when it happens, then only you see the benefits. So that's why that's the very sad mindset that or at least this platform is trying to introduce. They're trying to like plant in instant gratification to you. I mean, it is a solution.
Yeah, they take advantage. Well, I would say I think whether it's both insurance and BNPL, they are taking advantage of a particular emotion. So here would be you can say convenience or or like instant like impulsive buying. Of course, with insurance is fear. Right. It's not like insurance. People might get the idea that these BNPL guys are, essentially like vouchers or taking advantage of people. Look, in the insurance industry, there's a whole hoo-ha now about the premiums rising, right? It's the same thing, right? So they're all on the same boat in that regards. But I think I can suggest a few solutions to this. But before that, I think the first thing is I don't necessarily want to see this thing banned. I actually think that in certain scenarios it can make sense, right? Like if you are a single mother, struggling to make them meet, this little bit of help, especially if you don't incur all those other late payment charges and all that, it can be quite, it's quite okay. It's just that the mother needs to know that there are all these other charges.
Yes.
You can't just say it's zero interest
Yeah.
installment, right? You just have to tell, hey, look, there's all these other things. If you don't want to pay, please what?
Yeah.
But of course, it's against the interest of the BNPLs to say that. So what the government should come and do, I think, two things is first, they need to improve the transparency and the declarations, and then the second thing is what Australia did, which is to limit the amount a single person can spend. I cannot remember that specific amount, but it's just a few thousand Aussie dollars.
Yeah.
So I think once you implement that, BNPL is good. I think BNPL should stay. I just don't think that the current format is good enough. Because every argument you give against BNPL can be put almost on a credit card as well.
Yep. Yeah,
Right.
what's important is that you have to have your own budget lah. I mean, you need to track your expenses. That's the only thing that you need to do. You need to be disciplined. I mean, because people tend to, like, when they use BNPL, immediately they will just shift their focus. They won't think about the cost. For instance, like, they won't think about the consequence of a miscellaneous cost.
Yeah.
So, like, for instance, let's say you stack up a lot of things under BNPL. You know that you're going to pay this X amount, but you didn't foresee that you got into an accident. Like, let's say a car accident, then you need to pay for your 10 car or something like that.
You need money to pay the...
Yeah, correct. So that's why budget and also savings is still equal. It's very important. It should be the number one priority first. You need to build up that before even using, or you can use BNPL, but make sure you just budget accordingly. So that is basically our last takeaway about BNPL. So yeah, and if you want to know more about what we talk about financials in general, how do we even allocate our position size in certain portfolios, or not only just like stocks, we also talk about our life in general. So, and also a lot of these market updates is all inside this Fire Pros news update chat, and we have been consistently sharing a lot of information inside there. Most of our long-time members, they find it very valuable, where they can learn more insights about what is happening around the market. So everything's inside Fire Pro, and not only that, we also disclose our portfolio inside there. And if you want to know what are the names, you can go to Fire Pro. There's a 10% coupon at the description and comments. And if you also notice something, we have reduced the amount of shares, or the number of stocks that we own inside the portfolio for Malaysia. And this is going to be the same for
all the other portfolios. And then the average dividend yield for the borrowing pot is a bit higher than EPF, so that's quite exciting. Hop onto the community if you want to get the full suite of the benefits. And I want to get a taste, free sample link also in the comments and description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.